Hi guys, Matt Lipke here, through Gamer Goggles, and today we're going to do a flip through on War of the Immortals. This is not an in-depth review. I do have some inside knowledge on this. I participated in the playtest, so I know a little bit about it. I only got to do 2 sessions with it in the playtest, so it is still limited, and I kind of gave up on it because of my work schedule. With that said, I did also interview Paizo at Gen Con about War of the Immortals, and I have a little bit of knowledge lingering in my head from that, and I am very excited about this book. I am GMing a game where I am going to actually surprise, throw I'm going to make 2 characters immortal in the party, and I'm going to make at least 1 immortal enemy in this campaign in my game world. I love the idea of this. I've been a fan of Mythic ever since Pathfinder 1st edition, which I never actually played. They gave me a book to review, and I didn't even have the Mythic rules. So, that being said, War of the Immortals is all about, or is your guide to basically making things that are harder to kill and die. You are really creating epic level stories and epic level characters that basically have the ability to transcend to being gods once they have completed everything, if they choose that path. Okay, so breakdown of the book, table of contents as always. Come on, zoom in a little bit. You have your legendary heroes, which is the first roughly 30 pages. Well, you have your intro, so that's only a couple of pages. That starts on page 4. And then you have Servants of Power, which is War of the Immortals, your different Nephilim, Animists, Exemplar, Avenger, which are archetypes. Basically, you have 2 new ancestries, and then everything is an archetype of sorts in the rest of that chapter. So, basically, you have your information on playing an animist. Your first 30 pages are about playing characters, and then your next 20-some pages are about how to use these or making archetypes with characters that already exist. And then you have myths and legends. And what the other thing that's neat about this is they broke everything. Every chapter is broken down into like a different story. And basically, the 3rd chapter is where you get into what Mythic is and how to use the book. So we're gonna just flip through here. This, like I said, this is not a complete guide to this book. If you want me to do this, comment below. I will be happy to tear into this book with you in depth. So basically, you have a certain amount of uniqueness to the way Mythic characters work. They take their first page, page 4, the introduction, and they tell you how it's going to play out. And then they introduce the Nephilim, which is a rare ancestry, and they introduce the animist and the exemplar. The animist is basically, how do I say this? In layman's terms, it's an oracle that doesn't use a deity. They use apparitions. So they're not a seance, a medium. I'm not too good with the occult stuff. But anyway, they can communicate with apparitions. And that is how they are given their power, basically. And exemplars are they're not paladins of old. They're not champions. They are divine heroes. And when I say divine heroes, they are a step above everything else. They are the essence of what they believe in. And again, this basically is still telling you how to use the book. There's a lot of great art in this book because they want this book to be epic. So on page 7, well 6 basically, but page 7 it starts talking about your legendary heroes, gives you your character map, and it gives you the journey begins and how to do that. And then the animist, key attribute is wisdom. Trained in perception, saving throws are trained. Fortitude and reflex, expert in will. Trained in religion and either nature or occultism. Trained in 2+ intelligence modifier. Simple weapons, unarmed attacks, light armor, medium armor, and unarmored defense. trained in a spell attack modifier, of course, and spell DC, and the animist class DC. So one of the things that's really unique about the animist is this spell table. What in the world is 2 + 2 at first level? So you have your regular non-supernatural spells that you have access to from being an animist, and then you have the ones that are like granted to you by your apparition, and that's how you basically read this. And actually the instructions are right there. The animist spellcasting, and the number after indicates your spell slots from apparition spellcasting. I don't really know how that works yet, but I am going to find out in the near future. Oh, and I should say that this book was given to me by Paizo at this point in time, and I should release that information. They can heighten spells just like everyone else. They're vessel spells. They have some interesting oh wow, I didn't notice that before. They have Traveling Workshop as a focus spell. I'll delve into that another time. But they have several focus spells to pick from, and they have actually a lot of focus spells, more than I thought they had. But they have a couple of different feats. So at first level, one of the feats they get is Apparition Sense, which is basically like a, detect magic kind of thing. I know if something's here or not. And they also have Circle of Spirits, which can happen once per round. So you basically reach out with your mind to another spirit, choose another apparition from among those you've been attuned to, and it becomes your primary apparition. Number of focus points in your focus pool is equal to the number of focus spells you have, or the number of apparitions you are attuned to, whichever is higher. And at first level, I think that's a pretty good feat. I don't know, because I haven't played them yet, but it sounds like it's interesting enough. And then it goes through all the way up to 20th level, of course. And then you have your Exemplar. Strength or Dexterity is your key attribute with hit points of 10. It's a rare class, so don't go crazy as a GM. Trained in Perception, Expert in Fortitude, Trained in Reflex, Expert in Will. Trained in Religion, trained in a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your intelligence. Simple weapons, martial weapons, and unarmed attacks. Trained in light armor, medium armor, and unarmored defense, and of course the Exemplar DC. Now, they have a lot of different class features. I think one of the key ones is Spark Transcendence, which I'm going to zoom in on, and we'll go over that real quick. I don't want this to be a terribly 45-minute long video. While your spark dwells within an icon. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that's unique to these guys. I should probably have talked about that. They use divinely infused icons or items to accomplish deeds that normal people can't accomplish. So basically an icon is an item with transcendence, what's the right word? Anyway, however, you can spark the transcendence into a mighty deed, channeling your divinity through the icon. Though when you spark transcendence, the force of act temporarily casts your divine spark out of the icon, and each icon's transcendence action appears in its stat block. So that's something that is unique to them, and I think is going to make a very fun balance for an Exemplar. I think you could do a lot of different things. I can't wait to actually try and get somebody to play the Exemplar as a archetype, because I want to see how that works more than I want to see how the character works. And then over here for the Exemplar, you have your key terms. You get, let's back up a second here. You have root epitaph, and then there's several to pick from. There's the brave, the cunning, the deft, the proud, the mournful, and the radiant. And then skill increases, your ancestry feats, all of the usual stuff that every character gets. And then you move into the class feats. At first level, you can take Energized Spark, which allows you to select this feat. Oh, you can select this feat multiple times, choosing a different damage type each time. That's pretty good. You have to earn your name as an Exemplar. And then after the Exemplar, you move into the Servants of Power chapter, which I'm going to have to probably pause this and get my glasses. Well, actually, before we go there, so there's this whole thing on the icons. So there's Bands of Imprisonment, what it does, Barrow's Edge, Fetching Bangles, these lovely bracers. They're bracers. So with an action, your Transcendence Embrace of Destiny, you choose an enemy within 20 feet of you. It must succeed at a will save against your class DC or be pulled directly toward you into a square adjacent to you. So that is an example of the kind of power that they have with their icons and their different iconic weapons. Servants of Power. This is where we start talking about the different archetypes, I believe. Part 2 is Splintered Faith. You have Nephilim here, Nephilim feats. Nephilim is the heritage. So you have Nephilim feats after that. 5th level. At 5th level, they can get Bestial Brutality. Your animistic unarmed attacks grows more dangerous. The unarmed attack you choose for Bestial Manifestation gains the Deadly D6 trait. All the way up to 17th level. And then we have the Animist the archetypes, so multi-class Animist characters. They have access to a few different feats. And then you have the Exemplar dedication. And there's an example of a Bard. Exemplar, and you have the Avenger, which is a Ranger. This is actually one of the reasons why I was really looking forward to this. I want a character to play this. Unfortunately, right now, there's no one in my game that can do that. Blood Rager, which is your Barbarian. A Sense Shell. Whatever. Basically, a witch that is crossed, I think they're more towards the animist side. And you have a Vindicator, which is basically a hunter type of class, specifically on the undead. You have a Warrior of Legend, which primary weapon is a spear. Then you have Myths and Legends. And Myths and Legends is where you start getting into the rules on running a Mythic campaign and creating Mythic characters. What is Mythic? It answers that question, telling the Mythic story. What are the Mythic rules? Mythic Gazetteer. So what is Mythic? We give an overview of purpose of inspirations for Mythic subsystem. In telling a Mythic story, we discuss the best practices for structuring a Mythic campaign. And it goes through things like, what is the calling? Why is this person becoming Mythic? When I say Mythic characters, I'm thinking of an Achilles type of character from Greek mythology. That's what Myth and Legends is about. So, here's part 3 of the story. They answer what is Mythic here. Then they start getting into telling a Mythic story and how you do it and what are the final approaches. They outline it all for you. They make it easy. If you follow this path, it's probably going to work out for you. Then they have the Mythic rules, which is actually a relatively short portion of the book. Now, with that said, where is it? Where did I put? I don't know where to put it. Before the book came out, they have a set of Mythic variant rules that I printed out. I haven't really read these yet. I was going to read it before I got the book, but I haven't. And I think those rules are closer in parallel to the first edition rules. I think. Don't take my word on it. And then there's, the different callings. Like, so for example, acrobatics calling. I like acrobatics, so we'll look at that. So, you feel a need to dance in amid dangerous heights and soar. So basically, your edicts are leap without being sure you'll land unharmed, test your reflexes by maneuvering through spaces significantly more powerful than your enemies, maneuver around an enemy when tumbling through their space is a viable option, use safety measures to attempt acrobatic stunts. That's your anathema. So, basically, it's like your calling is your deity. And then, after you get through the Mythic rules, you get into the Mythic Gazetteer, which covers some more. It's basically more fluff on the Inner Sea and Broken Lands, and how this all applies to the whole overarching story of Paizo's game world for Pathfinder. And then you have the different paths to immortality, which basically are how your character becomes, what your character becomes in the end. And this chapter is really broken down into a lot of depth. It takes up a good portion of the book. These are all feats that your character can unlock and take. I'm not totally sure on how the rules work for unlocking it right now. So I can't talk in depth about that. And then after the Mythic feats portion, or the stuff that they can unlock as Mythic characters, you get into the Mythic Vault, which I believe is Mythic equipment. I've not looked at any of this yet. This video is already 20 minutes long, so I'm not going to spend any more time doing it. They also have Mythic artifacts. And then Mythic monsters, which are, well, it starts with a template. But Mythic monsters are basically monsters that are extremely hard to kill. And I don't know if it's still true, but I believe there was a time the Mythic creatures could only be killed by a Mythic character. I don't know if that is the case anymore, and honestly, I don't know if that was accurate in Pathfinder 1st Edition. And then you move into identities of different basic immortal creatures, or and how to use these in a mid to high level campaigns. Here's a little bit of mythic deeds and things of sort for. So if you stumble into this character here that is named, not him, Vulat. The creatures named Vulat. Here's mythic deeds that you can negotiate. They list them here so that you can tie this into your story and tell a better story with your mythic. Then there's the immortal trickster. You have the Caillou after him. And then you have the Oliphant of Gendele. Big, huge elephant. You have Sublime Breath. You have Virex after that. Virex that was. I said after that was, and never mind. I was going to say something else tonight. And you have the Weaver of Webs, which is basically a spider. Let's look at the spider. Ugly looking spider. And then after that, you have a glossary and index. So, real quick, War of Immortals, 226 pages, price point of $67.49. I think the book is wonderful if you want to add a epic level side to your stories. The con to the book is that not everybody wants to do that. If you're not interested in having that kind of storytelling and make your life harder as a GM, this book might not be for you. But if you want your players to feel crazy powerful, this book is for you to run that type of story. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want anything in more detail, let me know in below. I'll put it into future content as things grow here on the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys for a long, long time. Have a great day. Enjoy the holidays. War of Immortals, guys. Great book. Talk to you later. Hi, guys. Meet the Nibbles, who's gonna go down. She just decided not to go down my back, so we'll do this for her so she's comfy. Thanks for watching my video, and I appreciate it. Please hit the like button and share it if you know somebody who might be interested. And of course, there's always Twitter and the Facebook thingy, and soon I have a newsletter coming. That'll be down there or in a link below, and my kitty cat loves that idea. So anyway, there was one more thing. Oh yeah, subscribe. Be a part of my community, our community. Let's make it grow together. See you guys at a con somewhere, or a local store, or if I'm driving through the country, maybe a game club. I don't know, you're not going to go knock down my camera. Bye, guys.